Hey everyone, and welcome back today to Shooting Complex. We are going to be having another video in our series about all of the different leagues and federations and formats of competitive shooting in hopes that you find the one that fits you the best. Now, today's spotlight is going to be on PCSL, which is Practical Competitor Shooting League, and this one is a newcomer. It was founded in 2021 by Maxley and Grandis, who has a lot of competitive experience. He holds many titles in USPSA's PCC championships. He's also a veteran to all the different multi-gun stuff that goes on. So this league is pretty interesting, and in my view, it's pretty promising because I think it gives people a lot of what they want, which is a practical two-gun format where you're actually shooting rifle calibers. Now, some of you may think, like, doesn't USPSA offer a multi-gun or two-gun? They do, but their two-gun nationals that they've held have been for PCC, and multi-gun, I really don't think that that is going to be very popular because with my generation of shooters and younger generation of shooters, I don't really see a whole lot of enthusiasm for shotguns. But what I do see a lot of enthusiasm for is two-gun, in which people are competing with what they view as practical or service gear. So seeing stuff that's similar to this and shooting guns that look closer to this and this rather than, and it hurts my heart to say this, racing equipment like this. So let's get into it. We're going to talk a little bit about PCSL, what it's like to shoot, all the different divisions it offers, and then my perspective on how I like to compete in it. For PCSL, the strength really is in their two-gun divisions. Now, race gear and service gear is all at home here, and they have two divisions for both of those styles of gear. So they have the competition division, which is their open division, and then they have their practical division, which is like your service or duty gear or practical gear division, as you can tell by what the name implies. I've only competed in the competition division. Racing is what I like best about the shooting sports, so naturally I want to go in the go fast divisions. Now, for competition, rifles, anything goes. The only thing that's not allowed is bipods, bags, and full auto. And for the handguns, anything goes as long as your mag isn't greater than 170 millimeters, which if you have good enough mags, you can get 30 rounds in those bad boys. And the ammunition doesn't go 1,600 feet per second or greater. So if you have your USPSA open guns, you can bring out all the fun stuff and have frame-mounted optics, supported and compensated barrels, and go nuts. Now for my practical is going to be shooting guns that look very much like this. So for the handgun, the restrictions are as follows. It is a 21+1 magazine capacity. And I always think that that's handy. In case you're worried about counting your rounds out, when you go to these matches, these Magpul 140 millimeter mags carry exactly 21 rounds. So I always like those. I don't have to worry about bringing my magazines with base pads on it and counting the rounds out. Really simple and straightforward, and they're cheap too. For the rifle, in practical, pretty straightforward, 31+1 rounds, no brakes, no light and bolt carry groups, no coupled magazines, and no bipods. But, as you can see, this is my kind of Block 2-ish clone. You can have all of the awesome stuff like suppressors, as many optics as you want mounted on that. All is good and fair at PCSL. I really enjoy that aspect, and I think a lot of people are going to enjoy that aspect of PCSL. It's just the simple divisions, and there's a place for duty and race gear. And I also forgot to mention, of course, flared magwells and flashlights are allowed on the handgun. I do think that that's cool. Flared magwells I like that are allowed. I think that they're becoming more and more commonplace on so-called service guns, so that aspect I really like. And no ports and no compensators. Those are the only other restrictions. PCSL scoring is different. They have a different target. They have the PCSL K or kilo zone target. Its dimensions are a little different. I'm going to get into that. But PCSL still uses a points per second system. If you're not familiar with what points per second is and you're in the audience, Each stage is worth a certain amount of points determined by the targets. Each target is worth a maximum of 10 points. And depending on the hits that you get in the target and how long it takes you to complete the stage, you take all the points that you earned, you divide that by your time, and you get your points per second, and whoever has the highest points per second wins the stage. Now, each target, like I said, I mentioned that it's different. So the kilo is worth 10 points. One shot to this automatically neutralizes the target. You get the maximum amount of points, unless, of course, these targets are worth more points, as dictated in the stage brief. But your alpha zone is still worth 5 points. Your Charlie is worth 3, and your Delta is worth 1. The dimensions of this target, some of you guys may notice, is a lot different than what we are typically used to seeing with like a USPSA or IDPA size target such as this. This is a USPSA target. You can see there is a size difference between the two. Now, I'm going to tell you exactly what those size differences are, and that is, and thanks, I did not do the math on this. This is thanks to Competition Shooting Analytics' Instagram page. And if you want to know more about those targets, you can find out more. But a quick rundown is this. The USPSA A-zone surface area is roughly 15% of the total surface area. And it has 65 square inches that it takes up. And the PCSL A-zone or alpha zone is 20% of the target, but it takes up 68 square inches of the target. So in absolute terms, the A zone or alpha zone takes up about the same space, but relative to the surface area of the target, they're a little bit different. Now, PCSL target is 25% smaller than the USPSA target. And this had a big impact on the way that I shot, especially with that kilo zone. And I'm going to get into that more when I talk about what is it actually like to shoot this league, this federation. PCSL targets are also color-coded. White is a rifle shoot. Brown, you have to shoot this with your pistol. Blue steel is a handgun target. White steel is a rifle target. And their no-shoots are designated by having the target being painted red or red with a red X. So, with all that being said, let's move on to the most important part. Let's take a look at what PCSL is actually like to shoot. Let's take a look at some footage, and I'm also going to talk about my experience where I'm going to go over what are, in my view, the strengths and weaknesses of this sport, in hopes that you will find out if this is something for you or not. What is it like to shoot a PCSL match? I've actually found myself really enjoying this format. Now, I'm somebody that normally comes from USPSA, and I have a feeling a lot of my audience does too. If you are used to USPSA, I think you're going to be right at home with this one. It offers a lot of unique challenges while also having similarities. Now, one caveat that I do want to put in this video, and when we're talking about the experience, I don't really want to make too many USPSA comparisons because PCSL does have its own merits, and I think it stands on its own. Shooting a PCSL stage is very much like figuring out a puzzle. The onus is on you, the competitor, to figure out the most optimum way to shoot it. So you have to take a look at a stage, and then you think to yourself, what is the most optimum way that I have to shoot this? And I have to come up with it by myself. That's the biggest challenge of shooting sports like these, and that's the challenge I enjoy the most, and I think a lot of people do enjoy the most because it really tests your ability to mentally plan, and it really puts a premium on a competitor's mental game to focus, rehearse a stage plan, and then execute it on demand as soon as the buzzer goes off. For competitors coming from a single-gun discipline such as myself, each stage was like two. I had to have a plan on how to attack it with my handgun, and then I had to have a plan on how to attack it with my rifle. Many of the stages that I shot, you had to shoot them kind of one way forward, and then another way backward. I had a tough time adjusting to this, plus the added differences of the capabilities of a handgun and rifle led it to have some really unique challenges. It's obvious from the footage that this really isn't my strongest shooting because of these additional challenges that was put on me, but honestly, I enjoyed it because that's really the only way that anybody's going to get better is by being challenged outside of your comfort zone. Now, for my multi-gun people who are used to shooting multiple weapons in one stage, this isn't going to be anything new to you. The kilo zone targets also added a uniqueness to the format and the challenge. You had to make a decision about whether you're going to shoot a target once and get the 10 points, or play it safe and go for 2 shots, taking a little bit of additional time on each target, and also expending a little bit more ammo. An important note to make here is a kilo is not a one-shot maximum point hit on stages where targets require more than 2 hits. The targets being smaller also took a little bit for it to settle in mentally. I had to aim more at the target's neckline. I was used to kind of intuitively aiming center mass, which on a USPSA target makes sense because that simulates a torso, but on a PCSL target, it being shorter didn't really work out for me, and I consequently lost some points on stages because of that. This shooting sport really does attract a younger crowd, and that is awesome because we do need to grow the shooting sports. But it's a drawback because many may not be familiar with what it's like to shoot in a competitive environment and be aware and understand the safety rules, such as no handling ammunition in the safe area or how to properly run uprange with a rifle or handgun. A lot of what I'm saying here is going to be dependent on the club hosting the match and the competitors that attend. If a club has a big pool of experience to draw from other shooting disciplines, like IDPA or USPSA, then you can expect a decent familiarity with the rules from the competitors, or at least hopefully the match director. If you are a new match director, you could use PCSL's website to find some resources, but unfortunately, as of making this video, it is a little bit out of date. You're going to find some example stage plans and of course the rule books, but there's no program to get range officers certified with the format, and I think that this is really going to hold it back. I'd love to see this league grow, and I really do think that there's a lot of potential here, and I definitely had fun with it. So overall, I hope you found this video helpful and informative to help you, the audience, decide if this competitive format is for you. If you shot PCSL before and want to share your experience with it, please leave a comment below. If you think I forgot something or missed something, please let me know. Thank you so much for watching.